welcome to Forge of Champions. My name is Jake Hitbrain Matthews, and joining me here on the cast of this is Dan Orcs Harrison and Celtic Tiger Brennan. I'm not going to go with the Tigger joke. I'll do that later. How you doing, gents?
Good. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, this is my first time going for the finals of the qualifying tournament, so especially with the 4 Misfits I've brought out, I think this will be a really interesting run.
I'm hyped. You know, it's the last Forge of Champions qualifying tournament with the most points. Everything's going to get settled. The grand finals, a lot to play for.
There is a lot to play for. We will go through that fairly shortly. Obviously, our first game of the day is going to be Enclave versus Wind and Rain. So, anything we're expecting, any fruity picks? Because obviously, Enclave are the team who we're favouring coming into this series. But what are Wind and Rain going to be pulling out of the bag here?
I mean, I think really the way Wind and Rain have played is they played well around Crossman. He's played things like the LeBlanc, the Zoe, and then Nolty's helped give him pressure, and then he spread it to the side lanes. I'd like to see them go for a good matchup in the mid lane again. The problem is we've seen Enclave play well around their top side. They have to make sure Curb can survive until the point at which Crossman and Nolty can relieve the pressure.
On the other side, though, if you're looking at interesting picks, I'm looking down at Akatsune, who's had a really strange champion pool, but one that, when executed correctly, has done really well. We've seen that with obviously his Zillion, which has been picked and banned, and we've seen even his Vel'Koz as well has really shown up in games. So I'm interested to see whether he brings something interesting like that out. I know Nautilus got some changes. I don't think they're fully positive, but I know that's something Akatsune has brought out before, and maybe he's looking to surprise people with some of those changes.
And our second game of the day as well will be XL taking on Misfits Academy. This one's definitely going to be a tighter series on paper anyway. So what are we expecting for that? What are we excited for coming into that series, Orcs?
Well, I think the big thing is Leader coming in, changed the Misfits roster. Prior to Forge of Champions 4, I would have said this is heavily XL favoured. But the new 4 Misfits are on is completely different. Leader has shown he's very confident. He's willing to play fighters and assassins in the mid lane. And the thing is, if Rippy struggles against him, it could really mean XL just fall apart. This is definitely the sort of Misfits we saw from last split when they were we're our overall winners.
Don't worry, talking's only your job.
we were doing like warm-ups to loosen our tongues before we came on live. Yeah. We were doing Rap God in increasing speeds. Me and Celtic actually can do Rap God at like 110%, like almost flawlessly, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, I lose
this
some
guy
of
at like 70%, like I'm
not here for this.
I thought we warmed you up, but we didn't.
Not enough. Not enough. More warm-up next time.
Yeah. So XL Misfits have looked really strong, not only because of Leader, but also Zen, their coach, has returned to them. So I'm really interested to see how strategically they now face up against XL.
Well, if you guys are tuning in to Forge of Champions for the first time, what are you missing out on? Where have you been? Yeah, you've kind of missed it all. But I will explain to you exactly how this tournament works, as it is broken down into multiple stages, and it's got a bit of a complicated structure. So we'll bring that out for you so you can see exactly how it goes. Obviously, the tournament itself is broken down into 4 qualifying tournaments. They lead towards that grand finals stage. Each qualifying tournament is worth more points than the last, and it's the key thing to note, and we are in that 4th stage. They are broken into 2 stages, open stage and scoring stage. Open stage, open to as many teams from the general public as possible. The 8 surviving teams then head through into the all-important scoring stage, like I said, which is worth more than the last. You get to play against 8 of the other surviving teams and 8 teams from the Premiership for 16 teams total. They slowly work their way down into the grand final, which is worth a cash prize and those points. Once you've accrued enough points or won yourself enough tournaments, you do head through into the grand finals, which has a cash prize on the line and is also worth a little bit more than just cash as well, as the winning team from the grand finals will qualify for a spot at the European Masters, and also the team who have won themselves the most points in the group stage as well. So team with the highest points coming out of the qualifying tournaments and the winner from the grand finalist will obviously walk away with 2 spots representing the United Kingdom at EU Masters.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll know like after tomorrow which one of those teams is getting that guaranteed spot.
Might even actually know after today, depending on how things go.
Exactly.
So the situation now is Enclave and XL, although they're on the other side of the brackets, they are very closely tied in points. They're guaranteed 1st and 2nd, so it's between them as to who gets that 1st seed spot and the guaranteed spot in the EU Masters. On the other side, Wind and Rain and Misfits, again, they're closer in points, although they're on the other side of the bracket, they're competing against each other. They're playing for seeding. Yeah. If Misfits come out ahead, they can actually get up to the 3rd seed Whereas if Wind and Rain manage to remain even or get ahead, then they'll get that 3rd seed spot, which just changes up who they're going to be matching up against when it gets to playoffs.
And that's going to be the key thing, you know, for the side of either XL or Enclave. If they can get themselves locked in 1st seed by the end of today, going into the finals, this is going to be great for them because, you know, they can drop the ball at the grand finals. It doesn't actually matter because they've got themselves a EU Master slot. Obviously, losing nothing they want to do, you know, you win more money if you come higher up in the tournament. Yeah. But, you know, just having that kind of safety net to fall on from today, potentially, is going to be big.
So much of the pressure because you know you're going to be at this event, you've already secured your spot. Yeah. When it gets to a situation, say you're a game or 2 down, you don't think, oh God, this might be it. You think, whatever happens, let's just play our best. It makes you a lot calmer going throughout.
I think even, especially now, looking at now a revitalized Misfits, on top of the fact you were already kind of going even with XL, or going, yeah, both Enclave and XL were going even, it does relieve a lot of that pressure going towards the finals, as those 3 teams, it really depends how we see Misfits perform now, but are certainly looking at the top end.
Well, if you guys do want to get some more information on the current standings, the seeding and stuff like that, it's all available over on the website over at www.forgeofchampions.com. You can check in there and see where everyone stands, you know, future games coming up as well, so a little bit more. If you want to get a little bit more information without having to type a URL into your search bar, you can head over to Twitter and use the 5 letters LVPUK. Follow us on there, and we do post lots of stuff there. Also, while you're at that, there's also the YouTube as well, LVPUK. And if you want to talk to us, you can use the hashtag ForgeOfChampions4, I believe, is what we're on now. Yep. It was free last time I was here. So
yeah, a long slog.
It's been a long slog. We've made it all the way to the final stage. You know, semi-finals. 4 teams remain, and you know, these are some of the big boys here.
Yeah, I mean, big names throughout. Obviously, we saw XL play in the last EU Masters and have a great performance. Misfits, I don't know if anyone knows, but they do actually have a main team in
some other tournament. Yeah, some other tournament.
Some other thing. Enclave and Wind and Rain aren't as big names, I would say, as the other 2, but still, they've been formidable in the UK. They've proven themselves, and they have a good chance to do so again today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, how that Misfits Academy roster lines up, but also, even Enclave and XL going forward, whichever one of them gets that 1st spot, do they look like the top team in the UK, or going into the grand finals, is it still all to play for?
I think when you look at Misfits as well, this is really about their kind of return. You know, they were the Premiership champions, you know, they came forward, they were one of the teams that made it furthest out of the UK teams in the EU Masters, and they've had a less than stellar performance so far. You could argue with that special leaving, is, you know, he was kind of a strong backbone for the team. Now they've got leader as they come into this 4th qualifying tournament, and getting a win, if they can make it through to tomorrow, the finals tomorrow, and get a win. Yes, it doesn't guarantee them 1st space or 1st slot coming into the grand finals in September, but what it does do is it gives them good momentum working towards that grand final.
Good momentum, good confidence, and it gives them more favourable seeding going into the playoffs, which is something you definitely want to do. A big thing is that Misfits has obviously shown they can do well at LAN. They won the last one in the UK. If they get past that 1st round, they will be going to the live finals of Barcelona. So all they have to do is hit that mark, and they have the opportunity to go as far as they want.
Come and join us here in the studios. It's very nice actually here. We obviously do have ourselves a little bracket if you want to have a look at actually the current standings and what is coming up and what has been. Hopefully that graphic is ready, and I did just fire that out too quick. Here we go. No, it's not ready. It's not ready, lads.
Kind of person in a bit of a sticky situation.
Just production, you know.
Yeah, you know, I want to keep them on their toes.
It's a bold move.
That's not how you can't just go. Yeah, put up a 2-minute video of. Just throw it together. We want.
You know what? I want a video of me singing and dancing. They've probably got one somewhere.
Just throw it up. Put it together. You have 5 seconds. I'm counting.
Yeah.
Singing and dancing to what though?
I did sing Laura by Scissor Sisters last time I was here.
That's true.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad rendition.
It was okay. It was okay. I thought it was alright.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Well, we do actually have, obviously, we are playing, on a new patch. What patch is that, Ox?
8.16.
8.16. There we go. We do have a nice little video that was put together, so you can see. We didn't make it, but we got a nice video.
We have a video to link you, basically.
You can have a little watch and see actually what's going down in this patch. Oh, there's no sound. Okay, we'll talk over this.
Yeah, for sure.
So Tahm Kench and Wukong both got some nerfs. The Tahm Kench Adjust is definitely a pretty hard nerf.
Yeah, nerfs the cooldown is Devour. Absolutely. Some buffs to the tanks across the board. And then the skin. This is the bit we really want to focus on. There's some pretty nice skins.
But Ash already has a...
I think that skin is amazing.
That skin is real cool.
Yeah.
What's the best Braum skin?
I think Mafia now stands up. Yeah.
The Santa one's pretty cool. Oh, there is the full image.
Tanks got buffed. A load of champions got nerfed. Electrocute, Sun Impact also got nerfed, which is very...
It's the damage runes as a whole, basically. A lot of the key damage ones that have been taken have been nerfed. So a lot of that kind of remains to be seen what kind of effect they'll have. I think Electrocute will still remain the most popular of the domination runes, aside from Jhin.
I think the big one that uses hail blades in this game.
The big ones are obviously Zoe is going to move down in priority. Talia might be a bit more threatened in the early game. She got changes to a side.
Rakan's laning phase as well.
Yeah, Rakan's going to be a lot squishier.
Well, Zoe's, they tried to lean a little bit away from the Electrocute.
She has to land skill shots.
Yeah, it's more about the skill shots. So she can still one-shot you, but it's more about the... yeah,
you see the passive and W nerf. The things that you don't actually have to land have been nerfed slightly, and I think that's probably fair. I think competitive-wise, you'll still see her. She still has her niche, but I would love to see, especially at this level where it's not fully like LCS level, can you counter with some assassins and then bring some roams out?
It's actually a bit of a shame that I don't think we're going to see any Leona, because the buff to her wasn't massive. They just increased the cooldown on the W.
One big factor, the nerfs to Tahm Kench are fairly significant. Morgana was already seeing a lot of bans in the last 40 champions. I feel like because
she's permaban or permapick.
Yeah, she's going to be permaban or permapick now, and that honestly it means that Tom's off the Tom's not going to be played as much. Morg might well be off the table in any situation. That opens the potential to play something like a Morgana, something like a Leona, especially when you think about the AD carries who've been prevalent. You know, the Ashe, the Varus, the Jhin. They are very vulnerable to a Sunlight Lady getting in the face.
And I think that also comes down to, yes, Rakan's lost some of his tankiness, but in terms of an engage, if you're constantly banning Morgana, he's definitely up there and something you still want to bring out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because his Devour went from like a 16-second cooldown to 24.
It's 14, 28.
28.
They doubled it.
It's
flaming out.
The other changes they did, they made it so you can only have someone inside your belly for 4 seconds. It doesn't change with points in your W. They did make it so if you devour an enemy, the cooldown is half, so you can still go aggressive. But obviously, the main reason that people picked Tahm Kench was for the defensive aspect, especially when Varus and Ashe has seen so much prevalence. At level 6, if an Ashe fires an ult, just eat them up, they're safe. Not going to have as much freedom this time.
Yeah, well, we do have that bracket ready now, so I didn't shoot ahead too far. As you can see, this is how all of the games last week went, as Enclave took on Barrage in a 2-0. Wind and Rain took out Nuclear Storm 2-1. XL went 2-0 over M&M Gaming, and Daedalus fell to Misfits Academy 2-0. Obviously, today we have Enclave Gaming taking on the Wind and Rain, and then XL taking on Misfits. And the winner of those two games will be playing in a best-of-5 grand final tomorrow.
I think the two fixtures I want to look at from last week that are really important to talk about are Wind and Rain and Nuclear Storm, and Diabolus and Misfits, because Misfits have suddenly come back on form, managed to beat out Diabolus in a very convincing 2-0. And on the other side, you basically have the opposite problem. Wind and Rain almost fell to one of the open teams, 2-1, and certainly if that game 1 hadn't been lost so heavily in the early game, it could have been a lot closer. I think coming off that, Wind and Rain really need to step it up, especially even looking further than this week, looking towards the grand finals. They want to get themselves a stronger spot than 4th, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that we've talked about how seeding is going to get affected in this tournament, but the only team who will be guaranteed a spot in the EU Masters is either Enclave or XL. You know, I know that all these top teams want to get that EU Masters spot, so they all have to play well in the playoffs. And the thing is, whether you do well in this tournament, the 40 Champions Tour, or not, isn't the main thing. It's how well you do in playoffs. Even if you get a good seed or whether you get a worse seed, you don't want to be thinking about, oh, well, we have to face this team, because at the end of the whole tournament, you will have to face several teams and beat everyone if you want to get that secured spot at the end.
And remember, Wind and Rain actually went to the last EU Masters. They went as an ex-Challenger Series team, so they had a slightly different representation, but they were there as one of the UK teams. They played in the group stages. I don't think they made it beyond group stages, if I can't remember.
I don't think they had the most
convincing
run.
Yeah, it wasn't the most convincing. Misfits were the team that made it furthest. They made it
XL, actually.
Oh, God, yeah, XL did. Yeah, I forgot we had 4 teams total, because Enclave also went to EU Masters. They played in the play-in stage. Yeah. They didn't get any further than that. But, you know, this is a vastly improved Enclave from the team we saw at EU Masters last year. And they're now playing against a team from Wind and Rain who are actually looking a little bit weaker now. So, you know, there's quite a lot on the line here, and Enclave definitely want to try and make themselves another team to represent the UK as we do go through into picks and bans. Zillion is the first removed.
Akatsune.
Yeah. Not wanting to deal with that. And I think it makes sense when you have a pick that you aren't prepared against, you haven't had much practice against. Sometimes it's good just to take it off the table so you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, you are sacrificing one ban, but like to take away from like a champion's main, take someone out of their comfort, losing that one ban is not the end of the world.
It's the exact same here with Crossman's LeBlanc. Crossman has had excellent LeBlanc games, effectively carrying them in Nuclear Storm series.
I think particularly on blue side, it makes a lot of sense as well. Just to ban away these, if you want to leave yourself up power picks that you can secure, so they're banning away targeted bans for Wind and Rain. Do you see the Caitlyn come out as well? It was something we saw the Caitlyn Morgana lane really strong from Bendy and Hado. Weird that they'd ban the Caitlyn, but Morgana's still available.
Maybe they want to lean into Braum Lucian and think they can face off against it. I think it's still dangerous. I agree with you that I would have rathered the Morgana ban.
Yeah,
we'll see where it ends up.
And the Rise gets taken away from Aaron as well. So
I think Morgana's the smart pick here, but let's see what they...
Oh, straight into the Akali.
Oh,
now,
it's one of those games.
Curious whether or not that goes mid or top, because you have seen a few people run it top. Mainly, it's getting played as a mid laner, but it like has some decent matchups top as well.
It's very good at punishing melee champions.
I feel like Aaron is the sort of person who would play Akali. You know, he is a Yasuo player. He is someone who's confident.
I mean,
melee
but Rift's a carry player as well.
Rift is very
that's why I asked it.
That's what I mean. There's flexibility. They can put it in both areas. What this means, so Crossman's in a bit of a difficult position. He can't play that LeBlanc. He's playing against a very strong champion with a lot of all-in potential at 6. Will he be able to handle it?
It's weird because when you run this like Akali top, you build very different. You don't typically build the Gunblade. You've seen a lot of Duskblade. I've even seen a Triforce Akali top once.
It
was
I think
like a Bruiser Akali.
I think AP Bruiser is still the more common, like go a tank item later in the build. But I actually want to touch on the picks that have just been locked in here. The Jhin, I actually think it makes a lot of sense now that you've banned the Caitlyn away, but we saw this last series as well, where Wind and Rain put really heavy priority on Gragas. And I'm not necessarily sure that that was warranted. I was going to say because Morgana's open, Tam Kench now, even with the longer cooldown, they want to go for it.
Yeah, it's a champion monk is like playing it. So
yeah,
it suits his play style, so he's going to stick with that for now.
I think Jhin makes a lot of sense to me. Fax is someone who's always favoured Jhin. It is strong with the Halo Blades. But this Tahm Kench is seeing big changes that we would argue are very heavy nerfs to his safety. And it's being picked up anyway. And then you see Akatsune answer straight back with the Vel'Koz. And this is a very punishing lane. The question you have to ask, what can you pick into Jhin Vel'Koz that's going to survive? And the thing is that Tahm Kench doesn't have great gank setup. It's not like a Thresh where, okay, they're poking me, let's just force a gank. You can't do that as well with a Tahm Kench.
I think what I'm looking at as well is with Jhin Vel'Koz, you've so much pushing priority, even into a Tahm Kench who can't walk forward into the true damage Vel'Koz can put out.
Absolutely.
I'm really interested to see what kind of AD carry they go for here. I'm not sure there's one who can match that push. Even a Varus might struggle.
I think my argument would be just taking Ezreal, forfeit the lane and play it safe. And then you focus getting mid ahead and snowball off that. I think there's no way they're going to pick a bot lane that's going to go well, especially with Caitlyn off the table.
I do like taking Ashe off the table as well, because that's one of the good ways to counter this kind of double squishy bot lane. You just wait for your jungle to show up. Ashe ult, very difficult for them to respond to.
Also deals with the Jhin curtain call very well.
Yeah, I think Varus ban would make a lot of sense here. And there it goes. Gives a lot more safety to that Jhin Vel'Koz. The thing is, you now lack the engage option from AD carries. Tahm Kench isn't the best engaged support. You really just have to forfeit the lane now, and I think the Ezreal wouldn't surprise me to come out from Bendy.
And I was saying to you, I was like, I really want to see Kerberos back on the Kayle. Not going to see it this game. It does get banned away. But, you know, he's adapted more to being a meta player than an off-meta player this season, and he has improved from the Kerberos we saw in Kerberos past. But I do want to see him back on some of these more kind of carry-orientated top laners. You know, some of these more fruity picks. And
this is really strange because normally you wait.
He's played a lot of. I don't like to talk about hovers.
Yeah, I was going to say you normally wait to give your top laner the counter on red side. Yeah. Because top lane counters tend to mean that much more.
I think this is coming in with the assumption that Akali is going mid lane. Lissandra is someone who can deal with melee fighters very well. She has the peel to get them off her. Also good setup for ganks if it is the Gragas jungle or whoever gets picked up there. And that's the thing, is this Gragas could potentially go top. Rift doesn't know what he's dealing with yet, and I think this is why it's important to play for that top side counter pick on the red side, because we know how prevalent Rift has been in being able to dominate the top lane, and he's picked up the Rumble. He played it in the last stages. He was confident there. The thing is, he doesn't necessarily know what he's up against.
That's a lot of magic damage I'm looking at, so you're going to want to balance that with some AoE AD of some form. A lot of the key things from that taken away, though, with Ashe, Caitlyn, Varus, but see now what they end up deciding to go for. I was going to say, that's even more magic damage. But you've seen a lot of you're not up against a lot of tanks.
You've seen a lot of people go for the Storm Razor build as well.
Yeah, the tendency now is to go for the AD Kaiser build, so I think you're okay in that department. The one tank you have seen so far is the Drag. I think it's an interesting one. It does give you a late game win condition. Obviously, there's a lot of early power in the Akali and the Rumble. If you get to late with this Kaiser, though, she will be a massive threat. The problem is, I feel like you forfeited that lane against the Jhin Vel'Koz.
I just really like the idea. I was going to say, I like the idea of Mundo for the amount of magic resist he could have pumped out. Because even AD Kaiser does rely a lot on magic damage because of the way her passive works.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. The burst for squishies with the Storm Razors.
Yeah, like an adaptive Helm Spirit Visage could have been really difficult to deal with. But I think Kerberos maybe potentially playing for the lane here with this Camille pick, and then as the game scales forward.
I think definitely playing for the split push. I think the early pressure goes to Rumble, but the great thing about Camille is he's so safe because a lot of them have the tendency to max the hook shot, and then you have the Gragas set up for ganks. So easy to punish someone immobile like a Rumble.
Even follow that up with Crossman roaming. Lissandra, one of the easiest and simplest roam setups.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that works really well, is that Monkiz is going to have a difficult time in this game because he can't do much to relieve the pressure from bot side, but at the same time he wants to snowball his top and mid, and yet Camille and Lissandra, really easy gank setup for the Gragas. And Sejuani is someone who might need to wait for his ult to have as much impact. Going to struggle a bit.
I wanted to have a little look at the summoner spells, actually. So we're seeing Bendy take that TP, even though it did get nerfed a couple of patches ago. He's still recognizing that Vel'Koz Jhin is going to be so pokey that he just wants to be able to come back to lane and not lose too much CS for it. And we're also seeing the cleanse on Eren on the Akali, so recognizing that there's a lot of lockdown and Ignite. You know, it was the original hover, but they switched it out for the cleanse, knowing that they need to just keep that Lissandra safe.
I think the funnier thing to me is that they've gone double barrier on the bot lane, the other side, even though we've just seen heal buff. They decided that the lower cooldown, the simpler shield might be worth that bit more.
And the fact that anyone can be a target. It's not a situation where Jhin is the carry and Vel'Koz is just going to support him. Vel'Koz is going to put out a lot of damage as well, and is also vulnerable if he's targeted, so offers safety to both. I think one thing that's important to note as well is, although it wasn't on 8.16, it was 8.15, the amount of health potions that a support can start with did get nerfed. Sometimes not too relevant, but when you're playing against a lane like Jhin Vel'Koz, I'd rather have 3 health pots than 2, so a bit unlucky there for Hado.
What if Hado goes into Cookie, though? He might go into Cookie to compensate for it.
One thing I've seen is you go secondary inspiration, you get the time warp tonic, and you get the biscuit, and it just means you have a lot of sustain to make up for that. I think that'd be a very viable option in this game because you're going to take a lot of damage from Jhin Vel'Koz.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see how they end up bringing this out. Especially, I really want to see how Hado does with Tahm Kench nerfed so heavily.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel like in this situation, it's not even the best champion to pick up against Jhin Vel'Koz. Because the problem is, Jhin Vel'Koz isn't necessarily about, oh, we're gonna land CC and pick you. They're just gonna fire tons of poke. Yes, you can eat Bendy out of the Vel'Koz ult, but really you're probably already gonna be struggling by that point in the game. You can't eat him out of every Vel'Koz ability that comes at you. I mean, even if you wanted to, you're not gonna have the cooldown, especially now. I just think it's a difficult lane to put yourself in.
Now we've talked about how Lissandra has, you know, her potential to do well, but I don't think we've talked a lot about the fact this Akali is obviously a very viable first pick. It's all about whether Eren can make it work.
I just actually, kind of going back to Lissandra, I just want to check, is this the patch where they increased the E-missile speed initially?
No, they didn't.
I think is that next patch? Okay, they are actually buffing Akali. I didn't know if you knew this, but they are buffing the claw. So.
Oh, you mean Lissandra?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Akali.
I was like,
no, no.
Don't buff Akali, please. God, no.
Imagine. Oh, I mean, I like Akali, so I'd love a buff.
Oh,
but,
God, no.
She does not need a
buff.
buff.
She does not need a buff.
Everyone watching this stream just scream.
Everyone, no, what are you talking about here, Brain? No, because I think they're either buffing it or it's going to happen soon, but basically they're buffing the Akali E. So the missile speed and
Lissandra E.
Lissandra.
Separate champions.
I'll write it down right there, Lissandra. They're going to buff the Lissandra E. So what happens is initially the claw goes out faster, but it reaches its max distance at about the same time as it used to. But basically into these melee matchups, it means you can close the gap initially just that little bit quicker and get on top of them. So still versus mages, you still kind of have the same amount of time to play around. But if you're playing melee, you have to now play around the fact that Lissandra will come at you slightly quicker. I need to check if it's this patch.
I think the key thing as well is, I mean, we're talking a lot about the next patch, but the ability to get away, I think that's a big thing. It's not just the fact that Lissandra has a lot of CC into this Akali. Obviously, Akali's picked up the cleanse, so it's not going to be ultimately useful in an all-in. But it's the fact that you have your claw to get away, to create some distance, at least force her to use one of her gap closers, and then you have your ult to buy time. The thing is, Nulty needs to be around mid lane, Because yes, Lissandra can use the ult to buy some time, but if she's just sitting there and the Akali has time, again, it's 3 seconds between the first ult and the second usage, and that execute is so threatening
now,
if the Akali manages to get it off.
We've seen the picks and bans. I know where you guys are going to want to lean into, but I want to know, just from this champ select alone, who are you really favouring here? What are you liking about both of these team comps?
I genuinely am favouring the Wind and Rain draft. I think Enclave obviously came in as favourites, but I think they put themselves in a difficult position. They're going to struggle to have pressure bot lane. Top lane's going to struggle in terms of the split push later on. And I think Lissandra does okay into Akali. Like this Akali has to pop off if Enclave are going to win, which potentially Eren can do. I'm not saying he can't, but it really is a composition from Enclave that's we are better than them, we're going to flex on them.
Yeah, I was actually going to follow that up with, I think it was a very confident draft. You kind of went, look, we'll do so well in the early game that we'll just carry that forward. On the other side, I think Wind and Rain responded really well. I really love Jhin Vel'Koz as an idea, especially considering how well we've seen Akitsune play that Vel'Koz, even ignoring the AD carry in that lane. I think that's quite good.
Studies his geometry well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking for, I think giving the Akali away, and I feel like they had this Lissandra counter pick in mind. If they can follow up on that, I think it's a smart pick, and I like the idea behind it. That's what I'm saying. As the draft as a whole, I much prefer the idea of Wind and Rain's draft. It's whether they can execute. I
just hope it's not one of those situations. I remember you had those solo queue games where someone's like, oh, leave this champion open. I've got a counter pick. And then like 5 minutes in, they're 0-2 and they're like, never mind, guys.
It worked in my normal game. I practiced it.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not going to quite happen like that for Crossman, at least if you're a Wind and Rain fan. But again, Eren, we've said strong on these fighters. Bringing out this confidence pick, and we've seen in the EULCS in particular, it's had such a prevalence.
I think even in terms of solo play, Crossman's been one of Wind and Rain's, shining lights. So that's why I'd be leaning more towards it even further, just because even when he's not on the LeBlanc, he's been quite good in the simple mechanical play like that.
Well, if you guys are favouring any team here, do let us know with that hashtag Forge of Champions 4. It'll let us know who you are supporting coming into this final stage of Forge of Champions. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. We've seen some teams succeed where we never thought they would succeed, and then some teams fall where we didn't expect them to.
Talking's hard, guys. Don't worry about it.
I know, we all did. Like I bullied him like 2 minutes ago about him tripping over a word, and I did exactly the same thing.
That's what you get.
Yeah, it's my fault.
That's probably karmic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't actually see Karma get played this game.
Yeah. The Karma's not being played much. It does make sense.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate.
She didn't get buffed unlike everyone else, but we are going through into game fairly soon as well, so won't be long.
He did get changed, so a slight buff to shield. And there's been a lot of rune changes on this patch. We did show that earlier, but begs the question: what keystones we're going to see coming into this? Electrocute got toned down a bit. Still likely.
My opinion is you won't see a huge amount of change in terms of keystones. I think you'll still see them being taken, but you might see, the damage of certain champions start to fall off that little bit easier.
Ooh, it'd be interesting to see what the Gragas goes, because obviously there was the debate between Aftershock and Electrocute Gragas. Electrocute did take a hit to its effectiveness in the jungle.
Wasn't it Nolty's always lent towards tank Gragas anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, but
I did see that Aftershock, but if you've been watching
about something.
The LCK earlier today, Spirit debuted his Predator Gragas. To great effect. They won the series 3-1, so could see this come out.
I just don't see it from Nolty. I feel like he'll lean towards the Aftershock. He has played both styles, though. I mean, I was talking about previously, I always put this very high priority on Gragas as a pick, so maybe he was watching this morning. Maybe he's in the mood to try that out.
I mean, that's going to be the thing.
Trying it out in the semi-finals of the 4th qualifying tournament is probably not the smartest thing to do.
Some people, are just confident.
Do you reckon Eren's like, just pick me a Akali? I've not played it yet. It's always banned. So just pick it here. So I just want to try it out.
Guys, what's her new kit again?
Says in old chat.
Oh wait,
time Akali.
Her E isn't dash 3 times, and it's not a target dash.
Wait, they reworked Akali.
Skill shot?
Unlucky.
I wonder what skin he's using actually.
That's a big question.
That's a good. Blood Moon Akali is been one of my favorite skins in the game for a very long time, and the new version of it looks so good. I really hope they pick that.
I think a lot Infernal Akali was obviously the biggest change.
Yeah, I know, but
so good.
It's just Infernal Diana, Blood Moon's cool.
I feel like people are being like, wow, they changed it so much. I feel ripped off because I had the sword skin. I'm like, I think they significantly upped it.
It's definitely better. It's definitely better.
We still got
it was
Shamrock
basically
Malphite.
a chroma. Yeah, Shamrock Malphite is still the best skin in the game, so that's fine.
Every time
I cast with you talk about Shamrock flipping Malphite.
It's horrendous. I love it.
I think what we should do is we should change it up, and we should literally just exactly the same, but it has Celtic's face just like maybe on the breast or something, just like painted onto
Can
him.
someone Photoshop Kiltic's face?
Well, wait, onto Malphite or onto the Shamrock?
No, I think your face on Malphite's.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have your head's where Malphite's head is. All right, we are through into the game. 1 minute in. Looks like Bendy.
He's been poked out. It's done.
It's probably 1 Q for Makasune.
And we do see the Aftershock Gragas come out. And I am so disappointed.
It's okay, dude. We'll get him next time.
I'm going to wonder how Akali fares now. Sudden Impact and Electrocute have been nerfed. They were quite big parts of her early trading. You know, you use the E, you get Sudden Impact from that. You get the Electrocute you can proc down really quickly as well. And just solid trading. And Lissandra has such a good matchup here.
One of the things I'd like to note as well is that you've also seen a lot of people that might have taken Aerie previously have just all gone for Comet here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because obviously we saw the damage coming out from Aerie, at least in the early levels, get lowered down. I've seen a lot of Comets across the board. Obviously going for that laning prowess, I think it makes sense on the Camille. Normally you go Conquer if you want to deal with a tank matchup. I don't know if anyone is aware that Rumble isn't a tank.
I mean, you've pressed the attack as an option as well, but deciding to go for the more poke-oriented early game, I think, really is the
and I think that's
there.
when he's going to struggle in this matchup a bit more, is when he's laning early against the Rumble. We do see the shove coming out from the Lissandra, and this is something we didn't massively talk about, the power to shove, and I got a bit close there, but yeah, the power to shove is there for Wind and Rain in the mid and bot lane. Rumble does have a bit more of an ability to dictate the lane top, but has to be careful of ganks, but Wind and Rain definitely have the pressure on the bot side. You can see already Nulty is being able to pick up that bot side skull, and a big thing to talk about is that dragon.
Yeah, and I mean, I was even looking towards the top lane. You saw them kind of hover the Mundo and decide, no, we want to do better in the lane itself. So that's why they went for the Camille. So, again, one of the reasons we favored this draft was they got themselves a lot of priority. Yeah, and it's going to pay off, particularly when there is an Infernal Dragon on the cards so early on. It's something you would like to secure, and when you have pressure in the mid, you have pressure in the bot. Definitely something you'd like to look for. Jin, I know someone did the full maths on it, but he by far is the most effective user of Infernal Dragon as well, so you really want to pick that up for Wind and Rain.
Yeah, when you get like a million AD. Like,
yeah, well, like when you've got a massive amount of AD and then that's being increased by a percentage, like it's always naturally going to be really, really horrible. But for now, we are seeing Wind and Rain, you know, getting that shove in early onto Bendy and Hado. Nothing to be really surprised by. You can see how much Bendy's going to be able to pull back the CS deficit, as it looks like actually he should be able to catch all of these minions underneath his turret and equalize that CS.
But struggling in terms of poke, you can see no health pots now available on the side of Bendy and Hado. I think that's just a testament to how the lane's going to go.
Yeah. Well, Monkey's actually going aggressively into Nulty here. Can use that Arctic Assault, but Kerberos goes over the wall with the hook shot. In comes Rift though, starting to put the torch to Nulty. Sweeping strikes there. Monkey's actually sticking around, gets a lockdown. This is going to be the flash body slam. Here comes the claw. Crossman's coming through, and in comes Aaron for first blood. It's been traded back as a 1-for-1 though. Kerberos still looking for Rift, who's forced to flash over the wall. And both of the teams able to make their way out.
That could have gone a lot worse if Rift wasn't able to get that flash. It was a long one, but did manage it. First blood actually going over to Aaron. Surprisingly, he managed to get there slightly ahead of the Lissandra, despite the Lissandra's increased mobility, and it pays off. He gets that extra.
I thought you were going to see the claw forward and then the flash Q for Lissandra to get first blood, but waiting that little bit too long.
Yeah,
I think.
I don't think they expected how much Aaron was going to do there damage-wise.
Yeah, they were like, this champion. I mean, all her runes just got nerfed. What? Why?
Oh, I'm dead. It kind of threw me that first blood was in Spanish as well. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, we're a multilingual stream. We're
exactly.
trying to teach languages while playing, so you're able to learn Spanish like Dora the Explorer.
Did you learn how to say first blood in Spanish?
I wasn't looking.
I think
I couldn't.
Sanga, I think, might have been the blood part.
Hey, Borja, how do you say first blood in Spanish? Let us know in our ears, and then we'll teach the audience at home.
Yeah, that is definitely a good use of their time.
Well,
I'm gonna leave you boys. I believe you can handle the rest of your game yourselves.
Oh, Kerberos just getting shoved in early. Is gonna be down in CS now.
Yeah, both TPs have been used there just to keep up that lane pressure, and I think that's an important thing. Neither of these top laners are necessarily going to TP that early on. Rumble obviously does great once he has his ultimate ability, but right now you can see Rift is just playing for the lane. He wants to stay ahead of Kerberos while he can. there will be a point where Kerberos just takes over the matchup and Rift is going to struggle, but that's not quite there yet. And so you can understand him using the TP for that pressure. You see on the back side of the map, though, this bot lane prior that we talked about, potentially leading into an Infernal Dragon. And not going to see that right now, but it will just get picked up. Infernal Dragon over the side of Wind and Rain. Pretty free pickup, can't complain too much there. And this is the sort of thing that you definitely need if you want to be able to scale further into the game. On the side of Enclave, they have this Kai'Sa, who's obviously a massive late game threat. Securing that early Infernal Dragon definitely going to be favorable for the Wind and Rain side. And I think it just pays off. Oh, wait, we are seeing a dive here, top lane. Yeah, and the ult doesn't manage to connect, but Kerberos trying to buy some time. Ult will drop the aggro, and a great hookshot finds some space, but the stun comes down. The shuriken onto him, and Aaron picks up the kill onto Kerberos. What a play! And I'm going to do both jobs here because been some mic issues with Hitbrain. He's gone out for a smoke or something, I'm not quite sure. Akatsune lands some poke onto Hado, won't find much of the back end. But a good play coming out from Enclave, and we talked about how they like to put pressure on this lane. They like to make something happen on the top side, particularly against someone like Kerberos, who we've seen is someone who struggles a bit when he's behind. He is in a matchup where he wants to be able to scale further into the game. But for now, he's going to be shut down a little bit. Nulti actually on very low HP there, but it looks like they're going for an aggressive play on the bot side. Nulti actually going to dip out. He's on too low HP, but Crossman just walking down provides so much pressure. And this tower is so low. And this is the problem, is that you've picked a bot lane where you can't really handle them 2v2. You don't have the priority, and this tower is all of 1/4 HP. Already struggling massively. And the thing is that they aren't able to relieve this pressure anytime soon. They're going to lose this, and it means that Rift is going to get punished top lane by Fax and Akatsune heading up to the top side. No TP available from Rift means that it's really going to be a struggle to do much to this Jhin Vel'Koz lane. For now, you see Monkeys on the bot side, but it looks like he's just going to recall. So again, no reprieve for this Enclave bot lane. Gonna have to be really careful.
I'm back!
The tower anytime soon. And he has
I'm back!
Welcome back!
We figured out what happened. Great play-by-play, by the way.
How was your trip to the shops? Did you get me something nice?
I was just walking back and forth in a panic. Like, that play with topside with Aaron. Really, really exciting stuff. Kerberos literally just, like, almost got out. Almost got out.
It was close. Oh. It caught me off guard as well. I was like, oh, this is a play. Oh, wait, I don't have a play-by-play. I have to do this.
Well, we are seeing pretty much more of the same here in the bot lane as Fax and Akatsune poking away, but you have to keep in mind, Bendy's only down about 13 CS at the moment, so, you know, 8 minutes in, he's doing an okay job considering how hard this lane is going to be on paper. Yeah, I think the big problem is just the tower HP, which you can see Monkeys and Aaron moving to that bot side. They're trying to get control of the bot side river because they know they have to relieve pressure bot lane or they will lose this tower. Crossman might be in a bit of trouble. So Aaron actually E'd back there. So he followed the claw onto Crossman, then instantly put down the Twilight Veil to stay alive and just make sure that he couldn't auto-attack or see where he was.
Yeah, do you see a level advantage come out from Crossman? Well, have actually equalized now, but you just see the power of this matchup. I think we've seen Akali into things like Rise, and the all-in potential past 6 is huge. Obviously, a lot of respect for the Lissandra pick there. You know you can't threaten it as easily when that Glacial Tomb is available. Do you actually see the Kai'Sa recall on the bot side? Jhin and Vel'Koz. Oh, ult comes out in the mid.
Oh, that's going to be the ulti pinning Crossman, but he just frozen tombs himself. E goes wide, lands onto a minion, but Aaron dives forward. A claw backed by Crossman, an explosive cast is missed. Monkeys taking tower shot after tower shot, and he's going to stay alive. Now Aaron has to be super careful here, and somehow Enclave make it out.
I feel like Nulti just didn't commit there. You had your flash. You could have secured the kill onto Monkeys. Crossman did great to buy time, but his jungler wasn't committed to backing him up, and as a result, it ends up being a 1-for-0. Good moves from Monkeys, but honestly, I feel like they should have got punished for that.
Great commit coming through from Enclave, and Wind and Rain just not able to make it connect. I think if that explosive cast was just like an inch further back, it would have been enough.
He flashed the explosive cast, and then he went for the body slam, and Aaron blocked it. If he just flashed to secure it on Monkeys, he would have 100% taken him out there, because you saw how low he got away on. Just an unfortunate situation. Nulti does maintain his flash, though. Question is, where is he going to be able to make use of it? Ult no longer available. Is towards that top side. And the thing is, with the Camille past level 6, you can really set up there.
Oh, Life Form Disintegration Ray comes out. Hado just gobbled up by Bendy. Sorry, Bendy just gobbled up by Hadlow. As this turret, like you said, is taking a lot of damage, and this is going to be one of the major points. First turret blood super close to going down, as Enclave are up in gold narrowly for the moment, but this is going to be enough for Wind and Rain to tie back that gold deficit.
I mean, lots of damage from that. I mean, Monkeys is right there, but the problem is he has no flash, he has no ultimate. There's very little he can do to this Jhin Vel'Koz lane, and you can see they're playing so aggressively up because there are no deep wards behind them. Not much threat off the TP. Oh, do you see Monkeys going aggressive into the enemy jungle there? But looks like Nolty and Crossman are aware. Ult nearly available again for the Sandra, and they're going to force Monkeys out the jungle. This now means there's so much pressure for this bot side. The mid and jungle are going to walk down. This looks like it's going to be a free First Blood turret for Wind and Rain. They just need to make the moves and get
Monkeys being zoned off for the moment as well. They know that the 2v2 is going to be able to take this turret as long as Monkeys can't join into the party. Still got Aaron pushing a wave in that top side. Rift has teleport available, so if they want to go for a potential 5v5, they can do so. But turret taking a serious amount of damage, and Bendy just unable to clear away the minion wave as it does go down. Monkeys throws down one. That's going to be a shuriken flip by Eric, though. He can hop back into the fray onto Nolty, decides not to pull that trigger. Knock up goes a little bit wide, and it's just going to be first turret blood for Wind and Rain. So much gold damage. Still 1,000 though in favor of
Enclave. But the thing is, Rift actually TP'd down. He's going to use the ult to clear out the wave, but that TP was committed.
That's a curtain call as well. They are really looking for Rift. He's going to be able to dodge and dive away from all 4 shots.
That just felt like, you know, Rift used his ult to clear the wave. Fax was like, hey, why are you hitting me for? And fired it back. But the big thing is here, they committed that TP. They committed the Rumble ult. They now have nothing to fight this Infernal Dragon. You know, they used so many ultimates there. They have nothing to contest this, and they're now going to go down 2 Infernals at 12 minutes in the game. I don't know what situation you want to be in at 12 minutes in the game, but that is not it.
Well, we do see Bendy has picked himself up that Storm Razors now, as Fax has based, is going to pick up his own Storm Razors to boot, has the boots of swiftness as well.
Yeah, and
at least has that.
I would argue that in this situation, Fax is going to benefit from a way more. You have slightly higher range than Bendy, but the fact you have Vel'Koz to back you up just means they're going to be able to trade so aggressively. You can see Enclave have sent their bot lane, top lane a match, but they're really going to struggle to match up to this pressure. Good moves though. They realized they were going to lose out on the Infernal Drake, so they quickly head up and secure that Rift Herald. The question is, where will they be able to use it, and where will they be able to make use of that pressure?
Well, are they going to use it mid just to give Eren a little bit kind of freedom to roam? They still want this Akali to roam, but Crossman on the Lysandre's able to shove him out the whole time. I see that Gunblade getting started up by Eren as he's got himself the Revolver and the Vampiric Scepter, but there's a Proto Belt finished on Crossman.
I think you have to try and use it mid. Crossman's low on mana right now, he has recall, but when he comes back, yes, he's going to have the Glacial Tomb, but he has no flash. And the problem is, if you do commit topside, your top laner doesn't have TP. Kerberos does. If you overcommit in that fight, it could massively backfire.
Scary stuff. Kerberos also has that Tiamat finished up and a Hex Drinker, so his 1v1 versus Rift is going to be pretty decent now. Lots of auto-attack resets.
I think it just puts him in a good situation where with the Tiamat, he can shove the lane out effectively, and then with the Hex Drinker, he's not at too much of a risk of an all-in. So he's comfortable just to scale up in this lane, and that's the thing that Camille wants to do, particularly in this matchup, scale up, become the split push threat later on. He doesn't need to do much, and especially, this is the best situation. Your TP is available, Rift's isn't, so you know he's not going to be able to TP to the other side of the map and force some sort of play, so you can just chill and have a fun time farming, which you can see he's been doing.
We also see Crossman base successfully. They didn't decide to use the Rift Herald mid in that time, because Eren wanted to also back off and finish his Gunblade. And now with the blue buff getting finished up by Crossman, he's going to have a lot of mana to last him a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be able to clear those waves out pretty effectively, but you see he's actually going bot to look for Rift.
Gonna get the ulti down. Hextech Ultimatum pins him in place. Rift with the Equalizer, and the shield is trying to stay alive, but the Meteor comes down. Meanwhile, the Rift Elf's been thrown out. Explosive Cast by Nolty means they are hot on the heels as Bendy with the Acafian Rain hops forward, and Haddo finds the kill.
And what a great play from Enclave. They see that Crossman's not there, and they manage to get 2 turrets here.
As the curtain getting cooled, but they also use the Lifeform Disintegration Ray. In goes Eren, he goes over the wall. Crossman forces his flash, and Fax just shoots him in the face. 450 gold right in your pocket.
Kerberos is coming round. He might look for something here.
No ultimatum, but does have that hook shot. Gonna get dissuaded as Haddo probably has that gobble up about now.
I mean, overall, it has to be a massive win for Enclave. Things weren't looking great. They lost Rift on the bot side, but they managed to get 2 turrets in the mid lane already. And the issue is now, they're going to be able to shove the mid lane in so hard that it's very easy to rotate to those outer towers in the top bot lane. Enclave looked like they were having a bit of difficulties in this early game, but they've managed to show some of their old prowess and get some tempo back.
What does Bendy build next? With this hurricane, or this rapid fire cannon build.
Ginsu's Rage Blade. So despite the nerfs to the Storm Razors, if you get the...
That's the name of the item, Storm Razors.
If you get the Storm Razors and then a pickaxe at level 9 and beyond...
Ooh. Kerberos pretty safe, actually. Uses that hook shot. Nulty was also with him as well.
As I was saying, after level 9 on Kai'Sa, if you have Storm Razor and a pickaxe, you can evolve your Q. You normally get the Ginsu's Rage Blade, and then you'll pick up some more attack speed, so you can evolve your E as well, giving you the attack speed. You can see he's just picked up the pickaxe now, so you will have that evolved Q ability to get the large amount of missiles coming out. A lot more base damage, and that's the thing. If you ult in, particularly on someone squishy like Fax or Akatsune, you pop that Storm Razor's auto attack and you follow up with a full Akathian Rain. It really does a lot of damage.
Well, making his way into the mid lane now. Both those turrets are down though, so just looking to put some farm onto the Kalista, recognizing that Eren now needs to be that split push threat, while Rift still has a pretty decent shove into Kerberos' turret. Starting to take a fair amount of damage as the minion wave will crash into Rift, and Kerberos is going to be forced off. He does still have that teleport if he wants to try and defend the turret.
This is really interesting lane assignment because they've put Hado and Bendy mid, and what they've done is they've actually moved Eren topside, and things he's against 2 squishy champions, and a lot of the peel from them is the skill shots. You know, Akatsune and Fax have to land skill shots so they want to CC Eren. There is outplay potential. He could potentially 1v2.
He just dodged like 3 skill shots.
If he finds the window. Yeah, he's playing pretty well. But then on the other side, good moves from Bendy and Hado. They have that global potential. They move down, and Kerberos has to respect it. And as a result, they lose that bot tower. And this is a problem we saw when you have deep lane priority in the mid lane, because of those 2 towers going down, it's so easy to pick up the outer towers.
It completely frees the Akali up, and you see Bendy just half health crossman with the Akathian Rain. Now it's upgraded because he's got that pickaxe and that Storm Razor post level 9. Just quite happy to free farm on the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa does need a bit more time, as seeing Kerberos maybe looking for a player. Flash over the wall into the equalizer. Kerberos is just melting. That Hex Drinker will not buy you enough time. He hook shots out. Kerberos makes his escape. Meanwhile, Hado delivers Bendy and the turret will fall down. The 4th one over to Enclave, and they extend the gold lead. I speak a little bit too soon.
Yeah, you spoke a bit too soon on both. Kerberos manages to get the hook shot at air cooldown, so he manages to get away. And they also move in time to save that tower. However, Enclave going for these aggressive plays. Although they only have just under a 3k gold lead, they're showing they know how to play the map and get the objectives as a result.
Nulty able to dodge out. Nose Monkeys doesn't have that ultimate available. In comes a Claw. Actually, that's going to be an explosive cast. Separates the team. Bendy gets pinned in with the Glacial Tomb, but Hado gobbles him up. Monk is running very, very low. Will fall down. Bendy burning low, though, and in comes Eren. Uses himself the Shuriken to go back. Gets pinned in place. Hops forward onto Akatsune. Akatsune is running low. Eren's alive, and he finds the outplay. 1 for 1.
Good play coming out from Eren, but the problem is you traded mid for support. You've lost 2 members on Enclave, and that should no doubt be the 3rd Dragon going available.
Oh, what is Rift doing? He's getting pinned in place. He's overheated and gonna fall down. Kerberos is on the board. 2 and 1.
And just as we talked about the good map plays coming out from Enclave, they have the leading turrets, but they're losing out in the individual plays. They went for a really dodgy contest onto that Dragon area. Nulty easily able to get away and then punish the low HP Monkeys. They're rewarded with that 3rd Dragon of the game. That Elder is going to sting.
That is really going to be hard. Double Infernal, a Mountain sitting on Wind and Rain. They are 1k down to Enclave, and they have pulled this gold lead back pretty significantly in the last few moments, being able to hold on to that turret in the top side as we actually see Bendy, I believe, teleport. Yeah, it's Bendy. No, it's Rift. Rift just teleported into the top lane to catch a wave. So now both of the teleports for Enclave are on cooldown.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate situation. You're not going to be able to make these cross-map plays. We have seen them do that effectively. They want to try and get this top outer tower because it's sticking out a bit like a sore thumb. But the problem is, you saw in that last team fight, when Wind and Rain gets the numbers there, when they're able to find the engage, they punish Enclave very hard. So right now, Enclave, yes, if they can take a tower for free, great. But if they have to fight for it, they really might have a difficult fight on their hands.
Well, no one's actually really looking to overly push that top side. We see Fax just picking himself a red buff. Kerberos Quite content here in this lane. You just be careful. If that Shuriken flip hit,
yeah,
could have ult in him. Has that micro stun with the perfect execution.
I think, I'm not sure who actually, I think the Hex Drinker, I think it's a close one right now, but I think late in the game, Kerberos is definitely going to pull ahead when he gets some lifesteal and a bit more bulkiness. But I think Eren realistically could have popped him there if he landed everything.
Remember, Eren also has a cleanse as well. Misses the Shuriken flip. This time actually looking for the all-in. He even gets hit on the tactical sweep, so he loses half his HP. And now Kerberos can actually all-in him. Throws down the ultimate. Eren looks to go back with one of those, but he is just picked up.
Well, there's my answer. I was wondering who can win that. It looks like, well, he
not one item finished on Kerberos, by the way.
Yeah, you landed the Shuriken flip. Kerberos had the confidence, got the damage down to Eren, and
he missed the Shuriken flip. He missed two in a row.
He missed the Shuriken flip. He got hit by the critical point of the leg sweep. It looked like he just kind of faltered in that matchup. When we talked about this, Akali needs to get ahead if Enclave have a chance. They went for a very confident draft.
Ooh.
But right now they're struggling, and although they still have the goal lead,
that's going to be a frozen tomb to pin him in place. Even an ulti, he just gets locked down. Nulti stays alive for a little bit longer. A Lifeform disintegration ray from Akasune is able to pick up the kill. The bot lane used the Abyssal Voyage bot lane to stop Kerberos pushing that turret.
Yeah, and it left Rift exposed, and we saw him confident to pick this Rumble blind. Oh.
Killer Instinct comes out from Bendy, actually hopping forward. Nulti slows him down though. And Wind and Rain are going to be able to disengage their champions in the mid. Meanwhile, Fax is just quite happily pushing top.
Yeah, we've seen such a change. Constantly, Enclave are ahead. They were finding the towers. They were getting to the right place on the map. Now, Enclave is playing Wind and Rain's game. They are trying to keep up with their pressure. They lose that bot tower and the top one, and they still end up losing 2 members of the map. Wind and Rain, considering they are the team who we didn't favor in this matchup, are doing great so far.
This is great showing here from Wind and Rain. You know, like you said, exactly, the team who we had, you know, a little bit less faith in coming into this game. Obviously, they are in the top 4 in this 4th qualifying tournament for a reason.
But they're against
But on paper, across all of the teams they got to play against, this is such a great showing from them. They've been able to equalize the gold now in the last 2 minutes as well. So pulled it back. And now they're looking pretty strong, pretty confident. Do you want to drop themselves down a couple more turrets, open this map up, and they are playing the vision game around Baron.
I mean, the difficulty is where is the window to come back in the game? For me, the only potential I see is you make TP play with Rift's ult. You maybe manage to get some backline access. If you get on top of Fax of Akasune, there isn't that much feel for them. And particularly if it's an Akali and a Rumble getting in the backline, you can definitely punish them. But the problem is if you don't find that window, you're just going to lose to Kerberos' split push and the potential pick coming out from this Lissandra, from this Jhin on the side of Wind and Rain.
Now, even though the Tahm Kench did get a nerf this patch, you know, having that Devour doubled in length, in cooldown length, and you know, you can only keep someone in your belly for 4 seconds, it does actually still work very well for the fact that Bendy doesn't need to buy QSS for a very long time.
Yeah.
You can't actually ult him with the Lissandra because he just gets gobbled up and devoured, and it just, you then miss everything you throw on him.
I think there's certain matchups where Tahm Kench isn't going to do as well. If you play Tahm Kench to Thresh, for example, the Devour cooldown is so long now compared to the Thresh's hook that you might struggle. However, when you're playing into a poke lane, it's not really relevant, the nerfs. However, later on, when you're looking at the abilities from the side of Wind and Rain,
Oh, Monkiz flashes forward, lands out the ultimate. In goes Bendy. He's looking to put that damage down with the Acafian Ray, but a Lifeform Disintegration Ray will force him to flash. Now Eren does join the fray, but decides to make it out. Deadly Flourish connects. Bendy needs to hop and dodge all of those curtains. He's going to be able to do so.
Has backed himself into a corner here. Does look like he will be able to get out. Fax is trying to chase. I don't think he will get any further.
Keep in mind, Fax actually has a long way to chase. Kerberos, meanwhile, we didn't even see this. He's able to take a turret, and he's going 1v2! Hextech Ultimatum means he's gobbled up. Haddo able to spit him out, but Kerberos continues to lay out the damage as Fax gets a solo kill topside. Kerberos, 1v2, finds one! Rift is forced to run away. In comes the rest of the team. In comes back up, and they're pinging out Baron. Kerberos maybe just bought enough time for the team.
Yeah, they've lost the entire bot lane, and you can see Enclave now running up towards that Baron, but it's already been started by Wind and Rain. 2 Infernals and a mountain. They take this pretty fast.
Monkiz was the hero at the European Masters when Baron steals were concerned. And it looks like Wind and Rain, fully aware of that, are going to step away, knowing that Fax is also running very, very low.
But it's only going to get worse. We talked about how Enclave were forced to try and find a flank or an engage. They didn't find the flank. but they were so pressured that they felt they had to go for an engage. It was on to Nulty. He's very tanky. You're going to struggle to take him down. And as a result, Kerberos is able to push in that bot lane. Now has the inhibitor tower down.
And now, another 2 minutes on from when I last talked about gold, we look at Wind and Rain, and they are almost 3,000 gold up over their counterparts here.
Yeah, and you look at where the differences are, particularly between the AD carries. You can see 3 kills onto this Jhin are huge, and the thing is that Bendy has very little freedom to play in this fight. If you get up close to anyone on the side of Wind and Rain, you are threatened with a ton of burst or a ton of CC.
Do you still put the Death's Dance in this build?
No, I don't believe you do. I think after the Ginsu's Rage Blade, you tend to get a attack speed Zeal item, potentially the Phantom Dancer or the Runans. I think here you'd probably go for a Phantom Dancer because you're not going to be hitting several targets at once, but it gives you the attack speed to evolve your E for the invisibility, and it also gives you a bit of crit and a bit more attack speed, which is the key thing.
There's a big wave pushing in on the top side, so someone from the side of Wind and Rain needs to deal with that. It's Kerberos just wanting to try and take this inhibitor, finish up what he started, as Monkeys is hanging about, but I don't know if they really want to try that one again, the 1v2 versus Kerberos, who now has his Maw and his Triforce finished
If you look in the blue side jungle, they've brought 2, but Wind and Rain have brought 4.
So that's going to be the hookshot. Claw comes over the wall. That will be a Hextech ultimatum as Rift goes golden while he's spitting flames out. The full fight is breaking out. One is already picked up as Fax is able to get it, but Bendy answers back on the Kerberos. It's a 2-for-1, but Bendy falls down. Wind and Rain are running away with the fight as they take everybody but Aaron out.
And Kerberos says, you brought your friends, I brought all of mine. And there's a 4-man from Wind and Rain. It's enough to win out the team fight. And you can see where they're heading straight up towards that Baron. I don't think Aaron's 1-man army is going to be enough to challenge the entire...
Oh, he's going in! He's going to go golden, knocked up, hops back with that ulti. I don't even remember what it's called. He falls down, and it's an ace for Wind and Rain.
And we saw him try. I've got to respect the attempt coming out from Aaron.
Tried it, Baron! Baron shreds the magic resist, man.
And he went for the surprise play, wasn't able to find it. Got to respect the attempt. But unfortunately, he does fall, and that means Wind and Rain going to secure this Baron.
Oh, they're TPing in. They're not done. Equalizer is still down, though, so do have to be a little bit careful. Fax bleeding out, running pretty low. In comes Bendy. In comes Rift. In comes the teleport. Everybody's entering into the fray. Looks like Baron Nashor will go over to the side of Wind and Rain, and now they're just looking to peel out. No more action.
That's the worst thing, is not only do you not get the Baron, but you burn both TPs. We'll see a replay come out here, and you see Rift and Monk is ready to make a play from Kerberos, but there's 4 members on the other side, none of them in vision, apart from Kerb, and you can see he goes in aggressively. Enclave are probably thinking this is an easy kill, not when all his friends are here. Hado comes in, but he's by himself, isn't able to buy enough time, and although Bendy gets a good return kill, that great hook shot at the end locks him down for long enough for the rest of the team to clean up, and Hado, Flash possibly wasn't even needed from Crossman, but he wants to secure it quickly as possible and get over to this Baron.
Hado's so far away for that point I made about Bendy needing a QSS was just irrelevant. He couldn't devour him, and Bendy was just left in the wild as Wind and Rain are able to walk over them in the fight and extend this gold lead 51k to 46k.
And that's the problem, is that Bendy got in range of Kerberos for a brief amount of time when Kerberos was so low on HP, basically won him, and that was enough for the hookshot to come out to stun him and allow the follow-up from the team. It's really hard to play Kai'Sa against a composition like this, particularly when they're this far ahead.
Well, grouping up with that Baron Nashor, we see Wind and Rain. Everyone but Kerberos is here. So we've got a 4-1 push coming out. Kerberos does need to be a little bit careful, taking a couple of unnecessary tower shots and a bit of burn from Rift.
Big
with that Leandries.
He now has that Vamp Scepter, so regardless of what poke he takes, he has to sustain and heal up off these minions. Morellonomicon has come out from Rifty, which is going to slow that down a bit, but I don't think it's too much of an issue. You can easily just move up to a jungle camp, heal up off that, and the point is, the Baron minions are going to keep applying that pressure.
And he's quite content, because next wave will have a cannon for him as well to work with, so turret should go down fairly quick. Crossman claws over the wall, just a zoning claw this time.
Just a zoning claw, didn't want to hit. No, but that's all you need. You just need to take the towers at this point. We saw Enclave get a massive lead, 3 towers to 1 in the early game, and now 6-4 for Wind and Rain, and still a lot of time in this Baron. Very capable of securing more.
There's a pretty big wave starting to stack up in the bot side as well, so we see Wind and Rain then group up there. That open inhibitor that Kerberos started up earlier on in the game as well, going to work out nice for them. They're just going to be able to walk this in. Got a couple of casters, got a cannon minion to work with, and now Enclave need to answer back. Crossman's going to look to try and take this first inhibitor up for the team, and Wind and Rain pretty much uncontested.
I think
we have to crack the base.
Sense. This is not the objective you want to try and contest. the inhibitor has nothing to protect it. Wait until they try and start to dive into tower pressure and that's when you want to fight. Particularly the inhibitor towers, the mid lane one. I think that's when you look for it.
Kerberos just basically dove Rift there and half healthed him. Turret's going to fall down.
No sustain coming out from this Rumble means no matter how well you do in the trades, you're eventually going to lose out against this Camille, particularly when she's 5 and 3, double Infernals and a Baron on her back. I mean, if you look there, 376 AD, well, it's dropped now because of her various runes, but still, a massive amount of AD. Even if you just trade in auto attacks, you're going to put so much damage into this Rumble.
And that'll be the last Drake before the the Elder spawns. That's going to be a Cloud Drake. 4 Drakes over to Wind and Rain. And that Elder Drake win condition is now very, very scary if you're Enclave. You're playing into a double Infernal, a Mountain, and a Cloud Drake. You know, just so many stats they get off this. And if that gets doubled and also buffed, it's going to be really filthy.
I mean, that's the difficult thing, is that you look at Enclave, how are they going to be able to win this game? The only way I see is a miracle team fight, potentially off the back of Wind and Rain overstepping or taking a Baron, because right now, it just seems like they're struggling to find and engage, they're struggling to find flanks, and frankly, because of this Baron, they've just been trapped in their base, and the thing is, they don't win on time, because as soon as that Elder Dragon becomes available, it's going to be such a massive problem for the Enclave side.
We're seeing Kerberos playing that old Kerberos style we know and love. Doesn't play with a team, just plays completely on the other side of the map and just split pushes away, and he's been quite content to do so. Currently pulling the pressure over to the bot side as 8k separates both of these teams. You know,
yeah, it's
items are just massive. He's got the Hydra, he's got the Triforce, he's got himself the Maw. Now starting to build into a little bit more sustain versus Rift, getting himself probably a Spirit's Visage next. Yeah. Maybe an Adaptive as well.
I mean, those are the options. The thing is, you already have enough damage. The MR is just going to provide you that extra safety. I mean, you can take the damage.
Oh,
ult comes in.
Gonna ult in one that's already cleansed out as we see the Lifeborn Disintegration Ray do no damage. Nobody falls though, and a lot of flashes and a lot of ultis burnt. Nothing really gained. Now the curtain's going to get called. Hado just gobbles up Bendy to make sure he is nice and alive. But someone has to deal with Kerberos split pushing.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're now without your major team fight ultimates from the side of Enclave. They went for the play they had to do. They had to try and find a team fight onto Fax. They burn his summoners, but nothing else. And now they're at the bane of Wind and Rain's pressure. 5-0-3
QSS is down as well
on this skin.
So scary for
5-0-3 with 2 Infernals. So much damage.
Well, Kerberos just hookshots his way out from the engage as well. Once again, just running away. Bendy now trying to catch as many waves. Actually gone for that Hurricane, recognizing that wave clear and team fighting is the only way back into the game. Gonna see a knock-up land onto one. Crossman goes in, Frozen Tombs himself, and it's just a wipe! Rift is the only one who stands, and it's the full ace for Wind and Rain. They come out the door swinging in game 1.
And one ult from Crossman manages to lock so many up with his root. Follows up with the damage, and it just looked like it completely rolled over Enclave. This is the number 3 team playing against the number 1 team, and it really doesn't look like it in this one.
Well, it takes 33 minutes for Wind and Rain to dismantle Enclave in game 1.
What a performance.
Whew, what a performance coming through from them. And, you know, I think Aaron on the Akali was looking pretty decent. I was like, this is going to be him carrying. And just the game just fell apart around him. Kerberos just, like you said, once he got a couple of items, just was able to completely destroy Rift on the Kerberos. Not on the Kerberos, sorry. Rift on the Rumble, that's his name. Yeah. And it's just, Wind and Rain just had the map and just had control of the game.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of questions thrown around, like war. What is it good for? Now we know.
Well, let's see the damage of Wind and Rain here. As you just see, Rumble actually did the most damage in that game. Makes sense when a lot of people are grouping up and you just equalize on top.
Even just, he constantly got a lot of damage on Camille, but that was just sustained up. Just doesn't, like, not a lot of that was useful damage.
Yeah, I mean, he did a lot of damage, but then you also look at the other damage coming through from Wind and Rain, and they just, all of their carries really came up here. I mean, when your support's doing more DPS than your Jhin, you know something.
Akatsune knows what's up.
Yeah.
I think the big issue for me is I feel like it was an overconfident draft from Enclave. You know that Akatsune likes to play these range supports, particularly the Vel'Koz. You early picked the Tahm Kench without seeing the support pick. You then picked a Kai'Sa, which isn't a safe laner and is short range. It's no surprise you got murdered in the bot lane, and that really was the catalyst for the team comp falling apart, because when you saw Enclave in the early game, they managed to play well by securing some towers, and they managed to play well by making some plays onto Kerberos. But the problem was, when your bot lane falls that far behind, there's only so much you can do.
Now, I remember I was sitting in chat looking through what people were responding with, and I remember someone was like, you know, please don't say Wind and Rain were clean. I can definitely say they were cleaner. And definitely towards the end of that game, they started looking like, look, we're so far ahead, we can just end this quickly. And it comes back to the draft. They had the much better comp, and they managed to execute that going into the mid-game.
I think they also had an easier to execute comp as
100%.
well. So, you know, that leans very into their favor. You know, they pick themselves. Picks for every lane is basically a winning lane. Obviously, the Kerberos lane early wasn't quite so clean, and I think Wind and Rain, you know, they take themselves game 1. They are still playing against the #1 seed Enclave here, but they had a pretty decent mid and late game. If they want to try and take game 2, they just need to clean up that early game, and suddenly they're looking like a contender to actually make it to finals.
And I love, even going back to the draft further, that they baited out the Akali pick. They knew that would be the first lock, had the response, and managed to get that so cleanly. Like you saw, Akali was just forced to run into the center of a fight, see if she could pick anyone off, and when that didn't work, the whole fight just fell apart.
Yeah, even with the cleanse, and even with the squishy bot lane in the terms of a Vel'Koz Jhin, she just wasn't able to find any ground. And we talked about how, you know, could this be Aaron's first time on Akali? I don't think it is, but it just really felt like he wasn't able to find the plays in team fights, partly due to his composition, but also partly I feel like maybe a bit more mastery in his champion might have helped him out.
I think Enclave did a very good job of unlocking Eren, though, with the fact they got that Rift Herald down early and took 2 turrets mid, completely opened the map up for Eren to be in a side lane, which is what they wanted to do. And I think if Wind and Rain were able to hold on to that turret, it would have looked even more dire for him, because he would have been completely hard stuck in mid and wouldn't have been able to move around the map.
If you actually look at the stats, though, Enclave have consistently been willing to trade that first Dragon for Herald. They've always tried to get it as early as possible, because I think especially when you're looking at things like this where you've given up lane priority, it does slow down the game, as you touched on. But it doesn't help much if you still can't team fight against them.
I think an issue that comes out from Enclave is they have a willingness to pick safe bot lanes, which is fine, but you have to have some lane pressure as well. When you pick a safe bot lane with no lane pressure, particularly against a team like Wind and Rain, where the support is so willing to play these long-ranged mage supports, you can't do that, or you really just forfeit half of the map.
Yeah, I do think this game was a big lack of respect coming up from Enclave. I think they felt a lot more confident going into Wind and Rain. I think they felt like they could take this game pretty much no matter what, hence why they picked maybe some more cocky picks. You know, blind picking a Tahm Kench.
When you know what...
No, it was Jhin.
No, it was blind in terms of support pick. And you know Akatsuni plays things like this Vel'Koz. Like, as someone who plays support myself, I would not want to play that matchup at all, ever. I would probably just go,
not when your E's doubled in length. Your Devour is so long.
The E doesn't matter. Even before the changes, it's like, E matter what, he's still going to get...
I mean, yeah, you can eat your AD carry. You still die.
Oh, AD carry, but he's now at 3rd HP. Great. Guess I can flash Tongue Lash to try and look for an engage.
Yeah, it's a really hard matchup, and I think Enclave now in the next game need to look for more respectful picks and look to play around this bot lane a little bit better. Because as you can see, Fax shows up that he can carry. Crossman also showed that he can carry. And Kerberos showed what we know about him. He's very good at split pushing, and if you let him do it, he is a nuisance.
What I will credit them with is, at least in terms of respect, they did give the respect bans. Like, I mean, that could have been even worse with the likes of Blanc and Zillion in the game, but...
Kale.
Yeah, I mean, the Kale later on, maybe not.
No,
but,
not gonna happen.
I think it does show that they at least understand some of the strengths Wind and Rain have brought out. I'm glad to see that Wind and Rain are looking a lot stronger since their last series against Nuclear Storm, and I want to see if they can go forward here. And most importantly, how is this looking for Enclave trying to take that guaranteed EU Masters spot?
How is their mental state after this? You know, how much is on the line for them? They know that also, if they lose this game, XL just need to win versus Misfits. And I say just like that's an easy task, but that's a massive sigh of relief for XL.
I mean, it takes it out of your hands and now puts XL into the position where they're playing for their fate. Enclave, it would be out of their hands and have to rely on XL losing to get that guaranteed spot. But even if you did, the big thing is that guaranteed spot from points is only for the playing stage of EU Masters. If you win the whole of the Grand Finals, that is the spot in the group stages in the EU Masters. So even that secured spot, it's not the grand prize everyone's looking for. Yeah. And if you're coming up against Wind and Rain, when you're the first C team and you're struggling already, doesn't look good going into playoffs.
So what happens if Wind and Rain win this series? Just out of curiosity, because I think you had some scenarios written down.
Enclave can still get in the guaranteed spot.
I mean, they're still going to be in playoffs.
So if Wind and Rain win this series and XL win their series, XL get the first seed and that guaranteed spot. If Wind and Rain win and then Misfits win, Enclave still maintain that first spot, but it means Wind and Rain and Misfits are then fighting for seeding between themselves.
Oh, so what? They tie almost.
How
is it?
Enclave is slightly ahead of XL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if Enclave and XL stay on the same position, So they both get knocked out at this stage.
Enclave
are still slightly ahead.
And then it's similar with Wind and Rain and Misfits. Wind and Rain are slightly ahead, so if they both end up here, then Wind and Rain benefits from that.
Okay.
If obviously they go further, it'll be depends who goes further, or if they both go through, it's who wins out overall.
I mean, what I really like about this is I came into even this week, based on last week, looking at, look, we have 3 top teams now in the UK. We had Enclave XL, who are constantly at the top 2, and then we had it was Diabolus had previously shown up and started to fall off. It was then kind of Wind and Rain, and then Misfits had started to show up. Now we're seeing all 4 of them starting to take games off each other, starting to look stronger. It's going to make that last grand finals spots look a lot more interesting.
I think the whole theme of Forge of Champions has been very fun in this sense, actually, because we've had a lot of kind of flexibility around, you know, teams who have looked weak in the past are starting to look stronger, and it's even within the tournament itself, there's been a massive shift in power dynamic. You know, Diabolus after the first tournament, we went, wow, they're actually looking really, really strong. They could take this whole thing, and now they are, I think they're 4th or 5th currently.
After this tournament, depending on how well Wind and Rain does, they will either... No, but how well Misfits does, they'll either be 4th and 5th. The thing is, it doesn't make a massive difference because the 4th seed plays the 5th seed.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't really change too much for them, but, you know, they've gone from top standings, they won the first qualifying tournament, and then...
to bottom half.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a big drop. Yep. And obviously that's part to do with the fact that the tournaments are worth more, and, you know, there's more on the line. And I think Misfits, you know, were able to get this change in time, coming towards the finals, coming towards EU Masters. But I think, you know, we were like, XL and Misfits is going to be the game to watch. That's going to be the exciting one. But now, after this game, I'm actually thinking this is going to be a really good series.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, even ignoring the fact that the points are worth more further in 40 Champions, it's the fact that this is the tournament right before the Grand Finals. So if you want to be in form, you want to be in form now. Yes, Diabolus were great in Tournament 1. That was a long time ago. There's been new patches. Players have played at varying different levels. And, you know, Wind and Rain might be showing some of the form that they want going into these grand finals, but we'll have to see if they can continue that in the rest of the series.
Well, we are going to have to see if they can continue that, as we're going to go to a quick break. And when we're back, we'll be back with Game 2 of the series, where Wind and Rain will be looking to try and 2-0 versus Enclave, and Enclave trying to lock themselves